Hey there, everybody. Welcome into this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. Craig and Seb in the studio with you. Buy me some time here while I search
Well, I was just going to go and get a cup of tea until you said a few seconds. So you're looking for the questions?
It was literally on the last one under all the other
that
papers.
Many pieces I remember the days that you used to come in here and you were manned with the most up-to-date technology and laptops. And now
You used to call me Laptop Larry.
And now you've reduced yourself to chopping down trees.
Yes, yeah, because you can see me and my grizzly self out there chopping down trees. We're not the only two here, of course, as you just saw there. Gab Marcotti and a chuckling Shaka Hislop along.
Is there any chance that Shaka at any point in the next couple of years is going to get out of his house?
Get out of his house? No, I think he's got quite a good home set up there. I miss Shaka in the studio, though.
I'm in tomorrow, Craig. You'll be happy to know.
Are you?
How come? Look, I'm here for 4 out of 5 days on ESPN FC, and I get Craig in studio and not Shaka. What happened there? How come?
I beg your pardon.
I'm quarantining, Seb.
From me?
But I'm out of quarantine as of today.
Right.
So I'm in studio tomorrow.
Very well.
Fair, you don't look it.
Let's get to the questions. Craig, with Arsenal out of...
He just needs to have a shave.
Yes, well, speaking of, I mean...
When you're in quarantine, you can't have a shave.
What's your excuse then?
I don't shave, I go for the rugged look.
The rugged look, yes.
Also, I'm a bit worried about running over my chins.
Yes, right, does the stubble...
They won't open the gym here at ESPN, and I refuse to pay for one outside of the facilities.
Right. A young George Clooney, I think.
Hence the jackets now, the ones that I bought for the previous...
I noticed you weren't buttoning up quite as much.
Well, there's a reason for that.
No. The slim fit suit is not working right now. All right, Craig, with Arsenal out of the Europe and the FA Cup, have they become dangerous for the top 4? Didn't look at today.
I think...
Or does that help them, I guess?
No, I think they've clearly made it... Well, clearly made it clear. I think it's clear that in their current pathway out with this FA Cup defeat, that they are going to be a threat for the top 4. There's no doubt about that. He has been able to manage the situations since the problematic start to the season in terms of results. The Aubameyang scenario, the signings, the young players, and so far this season he's handled it particularly well in the league. And yeah, they've looked really good up until today. They did not look good today, but he did make some changes.
So we saw a bunch of the big Premier League teams struggle today. Obviously, Arsenal goes out. Spurs, it was what? I mean, 1-1 till the 85th, 86th minute. Even Liverpool struggled for a little bit against Shrewsbury. Next question, how difficult is it for Premier League teams to cope with playing these smaller teams away from home? Is it a problem of motivation or what?
Well, some of these games were not away from home.
Yeah.
But to answer your question...
Nottingham was, yeah.
But Nottingham Forest, previous 2 times winners of the European Cup. It's not the biggest stadium, but it's still a nice stadium. It's an old-fashioned. But to answer your question, if you were going away to some of these lower league teams, where the stadium is maybe hold 10,000, the pitches are far from perfect, although they're better than they were years ago. It is a kind of mindset part of it, and also you have to realise you're getting a different challenge than you do when you go and play in the Premier League. You're meeting players in general that are not as skillful, but have got a lot to play for. It's the big opportunity, right? And when these guys have this opportunity, they play with a realisation, a lot of them, that they may never get that again. I mean, you might not get a draw against a Chelsea or an Arsenal or a Man United or whatever it is again in your career. The balls might not fall that way. And so you face guys that are... Sometimes they just want to kick lumps out you. 2, they want to put a mark on you and show other people that they're good enough, and that can be difficult if you're not in the right frame of mind, and if you're not up for these, we call them battles. If you're not up for these challenges, these away games at smaller, lower league teams can become difficult and problematic.
Shaka?
And that's the difficulty for a manager, to try and get that mindset into his players that if they drop the ball, they're going to be embarrassed.
Shaka, how do you explain it?
It's all mindset. It's a challenge when you're a Premier League club, because you respond to big crowds and you respond to big games, and then you go away to lower league clubs to the question, and the crowds aren't as big. It doesn't feel like a big test to you. As Craig points out, it's a different kind of football than you're used to playing. So it's all about your own self-motivation, and it really is a no-win situation in footballing terms. If you win and win convincingly, that's the least expected of you. If you lose, it becomes a big embarrassment. So it's all about your own sense of professionalism and just going in there and get the job done. On the other side of that same coin, for the smaller clubs, this is their Christmas. This is everything rolled into one. And as Craig would know, back in the day, a lot of these clubs used to bank on cup runs to balance their books so that they have enough money to pay their players at the end of the season or whatever it may be. So it's a huge occasion for them, while for you just try to get through it with as little scars as possible.
Gab, next question coming your way. How much longer are memories of the treble-winning Inter side going to keep Jose Mourinho in the Roma job?
I don't think it's the memories of the treble winners of the triplete. I think it's actually the fact that Roma's ownership, as of right now, they're still on the Mourinho wagon. They're looking to spend money now in January. He wants to bring in another midfielder. He says it's going to be somebody more physical. They've been linked with Sergio Oliveira from Porto, but it could be somebody else. The other thing about Mourinho is that he still has the players with him. He still has the players on side, at least the ones who play. And you saw that in performances like this evening through 70 minutes. And I think crucially, a lot of the Roma fans and the Roma ultras are saying, look, let's give this guy a shot. Let's see where we are. Let's not go and be all divided. He has brought that unity on the support. Now, will it last? I don't know. So far, he's been very careful, I think, in what he's said and done publicly vis-a-vis the fans and even the club. He's been able to maintain that support. And like, I don't think it's that different from at Spurs. He kept a lot of support until it all went away all of a sudden. But at Roma thus far, he's on his way, I think, in keeping the support. But obviously, I think a top four finish this year, which was the preseason goal, is going to be very, very difficult.
You think we'll see any type of different ending for Mourinho at Roma than we saw at Spurs and Manchester United?
I actually hope not, because you don't want to see the guy who...
You hope we do. You hope we do see it different.
I hope it works out for him, because not that I want it for him any more than any other manager, but you do feel that there's not too many saloons left club-wise that he can drink in. And so here's a guy that at one point was the most sought-after manager on the planet. And it's been tough for him. And Gab saw this game today. They played some exciting football against Juventus, and maybe that's going to be a little bit of a way forward for him. And I would like to see him get through to the summer and then go again next year and see where it took Roma. But if it goes wrong for him, then it's difficult to see where he's going to go from here. So I don't know. I don't want to see this guy keep, whether you love him or hate him, to keep
the crash and burn.
Although people will say, well, he throws players under the bus, he does this, he does that. There's no getting away from that. When things turn, he has done that. But I don't want to see him fail. No.
Gab, who has a better chance to qualify for the Champions League next season, Manchester United or Juventus?
Ooh. That's a really, really good question. I feel like I should have prepared for that.
That's not how we do this show, Gab.
When you look at where Juventus, exactly right. When you look at where Juventus are, you need Atalanta and Napoli to fall away, and I think that's probably likelier than United facing the competition that they are facing from Arsenal and from Spurs, of course. But equally, Juventus are in such a difficult position with injuries, especially. I pray that they get Chiesa back sooner rather than later. If not, it's going to be really ugly. They're in a difficult situation, as I said, financially, So they can't go out and just bring in 3 guys in January the way Rangnick could if he decides to. So I'm going to say actually it's a little bit easier, I think, for Manchester United to do it, especially considering they did it last year with Solskjaer, than it is for Juve.
Next question, Craig, for you. What should be the aim of Aston Villa side this season? Of course, got Manchester United tomorrow in the FA Cup, or Monday, yeah. So that's tomorrow. Let's see where they are. They're 13th right now.
They're hovering around mid-table, just there.
13 points outside the top 4.
I think the early manager bounce that they have is kind of worn a little bit. They had that defeat at Brentford. Coutinho's a big signing for them in terms of a big name, big wages. Watkins is a good player up front. McGinn in the middle of the park, and others. Cash and Target at full, but they're solid. They're a solid side. I would say
top
anywhere.
6, any chance?
No, I don't
too
see
much.
them getting in the top 6. I see them finishing somewhere around between mid-table and 7th or 8th at best.
Maybe a cup run if they beat Man United?
Well, listen, it wouldn't be a surprise if they were to beat Man United, because Manchester United under Rangnick have not been playing well, and let's see what Jekyll and Hyde turns up.
Shaka, what did you think of pundits during your playing days, and has that view changed since you became one?
I was never overly critical of pundits in my time. Listen, I think, and though I'm sitting on the other side of the fence in that respect, I think they're a crucial part to the game and to the coverage and to the popularity of it. So you can't accept the benefits of the growing popularity of football as a player and then be critical of the things that go into feeding that popularity, which is the sometimes wall-to-wall media coverage. As a player, you learn not to take the criticism too seriously, and it becomes easy to ignore. But the media is an integral part of the footballing landscape.
Is that how you sold your contract to your boss?
That's definitely, it's in the small print.
Punditry we're a crucial part of the game.
That's right. The footballing landscape is the exact term, Craig.
Footballing.
There's the goalie union and the pundit union as well. Gab, why were you laughing at that question?
Oh, no, it's funny. I was just thinking, and to be fair, both Craig and Shaka, who I covered at the end of their careers, were people who were generally accessible to the media. They didn't hide, they spoke. I was just thinking of some other pundits here in the UK who literally never, ever spoke.
Names.
Were always grumpy with the media. We're always grumpy with the ex-players. I think Shaka and Craig can probably name some for you. And now they're on TV talking about football 24/7 when they absolutely hated him. I just think I don't know. I mean, look, there's only so many things you're going to do as an ex-player if you're going to stay in football, right? If you coach, you might become a director of football, or this is the other thing. And so, I personally have more time and more respect for the people who, throughout their careers. I mean, Don Hutchinson's another one, constantly yakking. I mean, in mid zones afterwards, he'd always be there. He'd be like, hey, you want to talk to me? Like, sure, Don, yeah. Like some of these other guys, different story.
Is there anything?
I never saw the media as my enemy.
My question is,
because I never saw the media as my enemy. I always tried to. I'm not saying. I always felt that they had a job to do, and that if you could be as helpful as you could.
You're sure that's not this age, Craig, saying that, and not 20 years ago?
You go and ask any of the journalists at the radio stations in London, or
did a pundit ever say anything that ticked you off?
No. Listen,
Can you think of an example?
That's not to say that I've not had words with, not a pundit, but a journalist or two for a story that I haven't agreed with. But that's not, and also, by the way, those journalists that I spoke to, I still speak to them now.
Right.
Because
a professional disagreement.
Well, it was part and parcel of their job, and that's what they did. And so if you can understand that, it becomes a little bit easier. But to Gab's point, I played with a lot of people who just saw the media, both written and broadcast, as the enemy.
I mean, that's not unique to football. That's every sport, I feel like.
No, but then the same people
then take the cash.
Then want to go and take the coin. And it's frustrating because I sat in the dressing room and I listened to them refuse time and time again to do interviews, and that meant when they didn't do interviews, other people who were willing had to go and do the interviews for them.
Can I tell you a vengeful Seb story here?
Well, I believe you to be a very man full of vengeful Seb stories.
There was a player one time.
Is it Bob Bradley?
No, it's not Bob Bradley. He was not playing in this one. There was an MLS player one time who really didn't like something that we did on a show.
Okay.
And just would refuse to do interviews with us, but would like set up as though we were going to do the interview and then pull the plug at the last minute. So it wasn't just that he was like making a mess for me. A couple years ago, somebody called me and said, "Hey, do you think this guy would?"
Hold on. So he must have done this more than once.
Oh, yeah. It was the whole thing. Once it happened, then we were shut out for the rest of the season.
All right, so it wasn't going to be news to you that he was setting you up for an interview again?
No, I was thought, okay, well, we're doing it,
All right.
and then we get the custard pie. Well, then I got a call like a year ago. Somebody said, "Hey, what do you think about blankety blank, and would they be good in sports television?" What do you think I told them?
Sawed off?
Nope. I said, "I don't think you'd be any good. They found somebody else." Ha, gotcha.
We had a player that come on here just briefly years ago. I mean, like a long time ago, came on this show and was only prepared to basically give his name and say the most mundane things and was refusing to answer any questions as if he was some big cheese.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to throw Stevie under the bus like that.
It wasn't Stevie, it was an MLS player. I wouldn't know this player if he popped up as a topping on my pizza. And yet he wouldn't come on and do an interview. Who the hell do some of these guys think they are?
I'm telling you.
I mean, I could understand it if it's Messi and Ronaldo, et al.
Right.
But, you know, some non-entity from Major League Soccer, we're getting told what we can ask them. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That, what you just mentioned there, is very much
you want above your station or what?
A symptom of the game here in this country. Shaka, I heard you laughing there. Do you want to add a final thought here on life as a pundit?
Well, a couple of things, just to Craig's point, and he's right. I think a lot of players who kind of see the media as the enemy, to use that phrase that was used, I think a lot of times, especially, I'll use our show as an example. You come on our show, you see us shout and scream at each other and get all upset, and then as soon as that segment is done, we've moved on. And I hope that players recognize that what we say, good, bad, or indifferent, there's nothing personal. We just express an opinion and we move on from that opinion just as quickly. And hopefully the players will recognize that. I really hope they do, because a lot of times, as you mentioned, Seb, they're shooting themselves in the foot. The other point I wanted to bring up is, while I agree with Gab's answer a moment ago and how nice it was about me and Craig, why did he start his answer by saying, when I was a young and upcoming journalist, Craig and Shaka were just retiring? Why you have to make us feel old like that, Gab? That's what I heard.
No.
I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way. Just because, you know, I'm still doing that job that we did years ago when I covered you, and you've now moved on to a different job.
That's right. Young and
see, that's why you have to. That's why you have to have balance on this show, right? Or any show. So they tell me, balance. No idea what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
It's opinion whether it's balanced or not. Anyway, that's why you have to have balance here, because you've got Shaka, who's worried about the welfare and mindset of the players that we don't upset them, and then you've got me, who literally I couldn't give a stuff if you're upset.
I actually think you enjoy it.
No,
manager,
I don't care about their mindset. I do not care about their mindset. I hope they recognize that what we say is not at all personal in any way.
Well, let me change my tack then. I don't care if they recognise it or not.
Final question.
Sebi,
Yes,
sorry,
Gab.
if I could just add one other thing on just to this, just one of the things in my experience where players have been upset with things that have done, or often managers, is when people in the media, when we don't have the full picture of what's going on. And there's two schools of thought, right? Part of the job is we watch games, we see what happens on the pitch, and then we give our opinions. This guy played well, this manager did the right thing here, the wrong thing there. But we often don't have the whole picture. And one of the things, many times in the past, I've had players and sometimes managers, come to me and complain and says, well, you were unfair because, you said I made a mistake here, but you didn't know that, or you didn't mention the fact that, so-and-so didn't train properly all week and yet I still had to play him, or you didn't mention the fact that this guy was carrying a knock. And the reality is, we often don't mention it because we don't know. Clubs have all these fancy PR setups. They have directors of comms and stuff like that. But they're absolutely terrible, I think, often at getting information across because people are so precious about it. And sometimes you don't know. You don't know. When we're critical of a manager after a game, he may have had his reasons to go do something. But if the manager doesn't let us know and the club doesn't let us know, all we can do is judge what we see out there on the pitch. And I think many times the managers that we speak most highly of, the ones who often get an easier ride, are either the ones who either they do it themselves or they have the clubs do it for them. They get the full picture across so people understand why they made certain decisions at certain times and why maybe they didn't work out.
James provides our final question today. It's for you, Craig. Would you rather fill in for Jules on the Gab Juls podcast or go and see Frank Leboeuf's latest play?
Oh, that's an easy answer.
Did you see the video that Frank posted on Instagram of his latest play?
I'm not on Instagram, Sebastian.
You need to be on Instagram
However,
for this.
I would easily go and fill in for Jules on the Gab Juls podcast. There is not a chance in hell I'm going to sit there while Frank Leboeuf plays in a play and watch.
Acts in a play, right?
Acts in a play.
Plays in a play.
Acts in a play. Plays, acts. There's not a hope in hell that's happening.
You will be shocked in the Instagram clip that I'm mentioning. Frank didn't have a shirt on and had tight little shorts on stage. That was.
I rest my case.
There you go.
There's no way.
That's why you're not on Instagram. Too much of Frank in the buff. All right, that's it for this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. Thanks to Shaka and thanks to Gab as well, Craig.
Yeah, welcome back tomorrow, Shaq.
Yep, we will be back in studio. Shaka will be here with Kay. ESPN FC available for you 7 days a week on ESPN Plus.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.